Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Moonshot NFT podcast. It's a pleasure to see you all again. We're here to help demystify the wonderful world of NFTs. My name is Elliot, and I'm joined by my wonderful co-host, Matt.
Hello, how are you?
I'm very good, Matt. I am very good.
I'm pleased to be back in the room. So we did, any listeners or anyone that listened to our previous episode will have realized that was done over Zoom, which wasn't the easiest or sort of nowhere near as good as being in the same room, being able to just have a normal face-to-face conversation. So I am pleased to be back down at your offices here and looking forward to this. Yeah,
exactly. Likewise, Matt. Likewise. How are you doing though?
Really good. Really good. So yes, the Zoom episode was COVID inflicted, of course, which was annoying on my part. But glad to be through that. Glad to be the other side, and hopefully not to return anytime soon.
I'm glad you made it through, Matt. I'm glad you made it through. Who would have thought that after this many years we'd still be getting impacted by the dreaded C word, but alas, back face to face. And what's the topic for today?
Yeah, so the topic for today is to explain or to discuss the use case of NFTs as membership clubs, right? So this is something certainly we've seen more of. I think we will all see more of in the future as people start to use the NFT and blockchain technology to as a way to create memberships and sort of give people access to membership groups and that sort of stuff. But I believe that one of your NFT tokens is exactly that. It's an NFT membership group, right? So
it is indeed.
Tell us a little bit about that to begin with, if you would be so kind.
It would be my pleasure. So I have an NFT token, and it's a Gents Croquet Club token, which is an excellent name. And as you said, it is a NFT which is entirely designed to act as your ticket of entry into this particular membership club. And so the NFT itself is rather unconsuming. It's a sort of, is it membership card, or it's got like the GCC logo, which is kind of cool, the Gents Croquet Club logo with two sort of croquet sticks.
So, but they're all the same. They're not
all
like
of them are the same.
Images aren't different. It's not like some of the NFT projects that we've talked about where there's different rarities and traits and stuff on the image itself. It's just a plain image, like an access token.
All the
right?
GCC tokens are created equal. They are exactly the same. They are just numbered differently. So I should have remembered the number.
Okay,
but I'm number 537, let's say, and there's only 950, I believe.
Okay.
And yeah, they're all exactly the same. And so what this NFT basically acts as is your ticket inside this particular membership club. And so what this contains at the minute is rather interesting. And I do think of all the membership club projects out there, it's certainly one that I am very bullish on for hopefully reasons I'll be able to communicate.
Let's go back to the beginning. How did you find out about it?
So I found out about it basically through YouTube. Okay. So there's a guy on YouTube called Iman Gadzi who I've been aware of for a long time because I run an advertising agency, and he also has run an advertising agency. That's been his core business for many, many years. And he's been a big YouTuber, been very vocal online about how he does it and so on and so forth. So he's been on my radar from that sense. He's since then, he's had a very successful advertising agency, and he's ventured off into a few different projects, and he has decided to create his own NFT project. And so I saw it just online and ended up going to the website where they had a very nice sort of landing page with a very good, about 20-minute video explaining the project. And so it was quite cool because it really appealed to me, because actually the whole crux of the project is to basically not be like another NFT project. It's not promising some crazy metaverse stuff. It's actually like almost a very traditional Web2 in real life focused project that just happens to use the Web3 mechanism of NFTs as its, ticket functionality, which is kind of cool. And so the whole premise of it is that it's meant to be this sort of brotherhood of 950 individuals across the world. They are, it's called the Gents Croquet Club. There was no, if you're a woman, you can buy it. There's no hard gating, but it's obviously all generally steered towards a male audience. And it was funny. It had a very unique application process.
Okay.
Because unlike most NFTs where, we could just go online and buy it, and which you can do for the Gents Croquet Club now. But when they first launched, you had to go through this whole process. So you first of all had to book in a call with one of their team. And so if you wanted to apply for the chance to mint one of these tokens, which was $4,500, by the way, you had to apply for a chance. You had to first have an interview with one of their team. And so what this looked like, it was a 20-minute Zoom call with one of their team. I remember having mine many months ago now. And they basically interview you because what this team are trying to do is curate a very specific audience of basically, high functioning, useful individuals that can come together, network, and bring a lot of value to each other. They didn't want anyone who was there for just the quick flip, so to speak, at the start. And so I think they're one of the first projects to do something like that. To my knowledge, they did like 9,000 Zoom interviews, and there's only 950 spots on the whitelist. And as a result, they've curated this basically like almost private Discord where you had to pass the initial screening just to be let in, which was quite a cool mechanism. And so, very heavily curated, very cool. And the whole premise of it is that once you're inside the Gents Croquet Club, you're now able to basically bond and network with all of these other individuals that are, working hard on a similar sort of mission in their various sectors from around the world.
Clearly had a bit of conviction that this was the right sort of club for you to want to be part of. Had you bought some stuff from this guy before?
No, I actually had not, but I've been very aware of him. I know that he was a very legit guy. Obviously, being in the agency world, I knew his agency was doing well. I could tell from what he's done. He also launched another business, basically like an online program, teaching people how to start their own agency and grow it, which he's had a lot of success with as well. And he's also built a software company called Agency Flow, which is a specific like bespoke piece of software for agency owners to basically run their agency on. And all of these three things he's designed, delivered on, and executed very, very well. So he's got a very good track record of building things across various niches, actual agency, education market, and then also software, and executing them to a very high degree and having good success with it. So I had a lot of confidence in their ability, and I liked really the style of what they were trying to do, like just using the NFTs as a mechanism to enable people to buy into the club, but then also, and for it to like be exclusive and, all that side of it. But then the real world sort of value-based approach of it in terms of connecting like-minded people within it, having that little brotherhood to go to, just seemed quite appealing.
But presumably some of the other people that follow him, because he's not, from what you've said, he's not like always sort of operating in the NFT world or anything like that. It's kind of from outside that, perhaps. Presumably some people that also applied and then went through the process, NFTs may have been completely new to them, no?
Yeah, like a lot of them. And in fact, they said afterwards that when you went through the interview process, if your like sole focus or source of success was like all through crypto or NFTs, that actually counted against you a little bit because they wanted to curate people with real life business experience. And so, I've since met up with many of these gents in London, went for a dinner a few months ago, and hopefully seen a few more of them in December. And yeah, a lot of them it was their first entrance into the world of NFTs. Because again, they're like typical gents who are in various aspects of business and use that as their main source, and stumbled across this, saw the real life benefits of both the community. They have like a whole advisory part to it as well. So, because he's been very successful with his crypto investments, for example, and his watch investments and all this manner of stuff. I mean, he's multiplied his wealth that he's made from his core businesses very significantly over the last few years from investing it in, traditional investing, crypto and watches. And part of the reason why he had a lot of success in crypto is because he employs a full-time crypto researcher and analyst who basically manages his portfolio. And so as part of the entry into the Gents Croquet Club, you basically have access to this crypto advisor who basically publishes these weekly reports on the markets. He's in the Discord posting his daily analysis. So for those people who are also interested in, trading the crypto markets, which I like to dabble in a little bit myself, you got instant access to this as well, which again was just also very valuable. On top of that, they also have this thing called the Board of Advisors. And so they basically publish, because there's a whole web portal as well, which you can only access by connecting your wallet, which has to hold your NFT in.
Okay.
So that, again, uses the NFT as the mechanism to verify that you're the owner and therefore can access all this content. And they have these regular Board of Advisory calls where they get these particular experts from certain fields who come and just share their wisdom in a sort of unfiltered, uncensored way, because it's hosted in this online portal rather than on YouTube or somewhere where you've got to be a little bit careful. So that's been extremely valuable as well. And then I think the two things that I'm most excited about, because one for me was meeting the other individuals.
Of course.
Because finally being able to have open dialogue and discourse with a whole bunch of, smart, switched on individuals who are aiming for some really big, ambitious goals. I mean, there's some people in there with some crazy businesses doing crazy amounts. And so to have conversations with them and learn from them, as well as like actually helping out some of the other people who are perhaps, there's quite a few people in there who've just started agencies, for example, which I've been able to help out on a few fronts. So that's been very good. But they have on the online portal a whole CRM. So you can basically see all of the gents. You can see where they're based. You can see what their industry is, what their expertise is, and you can see all their socials. So you're able to connect with them, which has been great, because I've connected with...
It's a proper community. Like, there's no... It's not... you can find out who the other members are. You've all kind of signed up for that. So that it's not just all anonymous and
exactly.
Much like a lot of these sort of NFT projects, you wouldn't even find out who the founders or the creators are, let alone who other holders are and sort of members of the community. But that's obviously been designed that 100%. Way specifically.
It's very much grounded in like real life, and it just uses the NFTs as the Web3 mechanism rather than some of these other communities that are just like so fully Web3 and born and created by just pure NFT people, where, as you said, it's like constant anonymous dialogue almost, because people keep themselves very much hidden to a degree.
Yeah, and I think that, if we just spend a few minutes talking about why NFT then, why do it as an NFT token versus, because, that's not necessary at all for, this guy could have created this same membership community, the same membership group, without using NFTs whatsoever. But I think if we just talk about some of the benefits and reasons why he might have done that, and perhaps specific ones, but just from my experience, like thinking about what you just said about this online portal that you have access to, we're both members of the Entrepreneurs Circle, as an example, which is a membership group that we pay a monthly subscription for, and that also has an online portal, right? And so which contains a lot of resources and tools and helpful information about business in general, entrepreneurship. It's a very valuable resource. But of course, it's just we have a username and a password, right? That's the way we access it. But it's very easy to give someone else your username and password so they can access it and they can have a look, and it's an easy thing to get around. What's not easy is if the way to access the online portal is you've got to hold the NFT in your wallet. It immediately makes it that much more secure, right? It also, I'm thinking about the use case, or I'm thinking about the the process of using it. It makes it awkward as well, potentially, because like I'm thinking, well, you then have to be on your specific laptop or computer that has that NFT in your wallet. Or whatever, to be able to log on and access that portal.
I use a cold wallet, right? So I have a Trezor, which is a little, almost like memory stick style thing, which I use is the wallet where all my valuable NFTs are stored. And so every time I want to connect to the portal, I have to make sure I've got my Trezor with me, plug it into my laptop, go through the whole process of inputting my code and verifying the transaction. So there's a whole, it's not a quick login.
Yeah, no, which of course it's definitely not frictionless. It's nowhere near as easy to do as just put a username and password in. But of course, that's the point, right? Because then the information that's within that portal, especially other people's names, contact details, like other personal information that, all the members have obviously agreed to have in there, without the specifics of having this NFT in your wallet to get access, like that means like scammers or sort of, it could be hacked, right? I would have thought, it's easier for people to hack into a username and password kind of online portal than 100%. It is an NFT token gated online
100%, 100%. And so, as you rightly state, I think the functionality side of it is a core reason why they chose to go down the NFT route, because as you've just described, that mechanism is very helpful. And also when it comes to creating a gated, curated community of any sort, having that, tangible digital asset that someone definitively owns and therefore can use that as the mechanism to verify stuff is really important. So that was definitely a key draw. And then I think, funnily enough, the other reason why they chose to do NFTs, I think one part is that at the time, it was right in the middle of NFT mania almost. So it was a good mechanism for attracting a good bit of attention. Even though, as you say, I don't know how much that was a core driver for them, because as I said, they kind of were aiming for not necessarily super crypto people to get involved.
Yeah.
So whilst that was useful, I don't think that was a core driver. But I think this new area where the NFT technology makes it super valuable ties into this aspect of ownership. Because once you bought into this membership club, you now have that NFT. And that NFT retains its value. And so it's one of the few projects that even in this bear market is actually, my GCC token, for example, I'm up significantly on the initial investment, even though now the market's tanked. Because it's a very small supply, 950. And, the gents who are in there are getting a lot of value from it already.
Yeah.
And truthfully, they really have only revealed like a very small bit of what's to come. They've got some very exciting things in the pipeline. And I think over the next year or so, when it will all get ready and really blow up, that I think this could massively explode as a project. So
some have sold or none have sold?
No, quite a lot have sold. Quite a lot have sold. But there's only ever maximum 10, 11, 12 for sale on OpenSea at any one time.
Yeah.
So, less than 1% are ever listed. But the real reason why that's useful is because for the holders and both the company behind it, it means that as the holder, you're able to retain the value from this NFT. So you can come into the community, you can in essence experience the benefit of it, find everyone to connect with, enjoy the courses, go to a board of advisors call, and then decide that you've got enough value, and then you can sell the NFT and basically recoup your entire initial investment back.
Yeah.
And so if we compare that to traditional membership clubs, like in London, if you've got Soho House or Annabelle's or whenever you have these very exclusive high-end membership clubs where you have to go and pay, very expensive annual membership fees to be a part of. Well, once you packed up and leave, you don't ever get your membership fees back.
No.
Nor do you get a chance to really sell it on to anyone else. Whereas with the NFTs, you totally do have that mechanism, because now the ownership of the digital assets verified on the blockchain means that they can be bought and sold, and providing the Gents Croquet Club, retains its value and is seen as a valuable thing to be a part of, and there's a market for it, then you should always be able to actually exit and get your liquidity back.
Yeah.
Now, of course, what that also means is that it's a good revenue stream for the company as well, because not only do they obviously make money on the front end when they minted all 950 for $4,500.
Yeah,
which
so it's a nice sum in itself.
Do those crunch the numbers on that.
Yeah.
But they get a percentage of the fees every time someone sells one.
Yes, we've talked about this before in a previous episode, haven't we? The royalties that the project team or kind of founders earn on each transaction when they're sold on the secondary market on a website like OpenSea or that sort of stuff. So they're earning a percentage of each sale moving forward, right?
Yep, 100%, which again provides them a nice little revenue stream, which just ensures that their company treasury is topped up, so they're able to fulfill and build on all of the promises and things that they want to do.
The only bit, I don't know whether you know the answer to this or not, but the bit that I wonder about is that process that you had to go through to actually get the chance to mint one of these or buy an original access token into this membership community. You had to have your 20-minute Zoom conversation, and it sounds like you said the right things. If you were one of 950 out of thousands that applied, but as I understand it, I could now go on to OpenSea and buy one of these membership tokens without any kind of conversation. They don't know anything about me. How have you got? Do you know how they manage that? Is that a risk to them? Like that bit, I don't know.
Truthfully, I don't know how they manage the full process. What I do know is you can absolutely go online and buy your token, and with that, get access to the Discord, which is where a lot of it is held down, and also the online portal. So you can get instant access to that. When you join the Discord, you will be offered a onboarding call.
Okay.
So you will be one of their team. Will happily jump on with you if you'd like it, to introduce you. It's quite good because they'll show you through everything, make sure you know what's available, but also understand, who you are, what your business is, and what you're looking to get out of the Gents Croquet Club, because they can then connect you with other members, that might be of use to you.
Yeah.
So they offer you that. But as you said, as far as I'm aware, there's no mechanism now in terms of having to be a certain type of individual or do this or do that, so that anyone can join. And so does that therefore propose a risk to the curated nature of the group? I think it does to a degree, but given the very small percentage of the NFTs that are ever for sale, you're only looking at a rotating, less than 1% of the community that's ever rotating at one point. So
I think it'll be interesting to see how businesses do that. You think of a couple of examples that you mentioned already. Soho House, for example, as I understand it, there is a membership form. It's not an easy membership group to become part of, and there's definitely a process for like applying, and then you have to essentially be granted,
get referred as well by other people that are already in
members. So of course, if they if groups like that switch to this kind of mechanism for membership, controlling the secondary sale of membership would become a thing. I assume that of course, I'm sure someone will come up with a way that it can be done, and a it would be kind of cool, because you can imagine how, if say Soho House switched to this from their membership model, you would like to imagine a world where if I was Soho House and I'm switching to an NFT as my membership model, I now want to make sure that all the NFT holders get so much value from our services, and we invest so much in that, because the more value we can give them, the more demand is going to be created for them. Therefore, the prices of them that get sold on the secondary are going to go up, and therefore my royalties go up. Yeah.
And so that would be quite a nice virtuous cycle.
Oh, absolutely.
Of course, you run the risk of the opposite. If members get unhappy, then all of a sudden prices go down and your revenue streams go down. But that, in a nice capitalist society where we want everything to be as good as possible, that is a sort of virtuous cycle of hopefully improvement. On the flip side of that, though, you can kind of see why a traditional business just probably wouldn't want to do that, because all of a sudden you lose the ability to confidently forecast what your revenues are and put it to the whim of the market, hoping that what you're doing is of value, and that therefore the secondary market you created reflects that. So it will be interesting to see, like, how do you see that?
Yeah,
can you picture businesses doing that?
I like to focus in on the positivity aspect of that, which is make it so good that no one wants to leave. Make it so good that, which of course is what every business and membership group should do. Like, and actually it's, I think now these days, so few things tie you in for any more than a month's notice anyway, because people just don't accept that sort of thing anymore. Like, it used to be, everything was a minimum kind of, if you joined and you signed up, you were signing up for a minimum of 12 months. That doesn't fly anymore, right? People want the option to be able to try it, for a few months, or some people not even that, and then they want the no contract, no fee, all this sort of stuff. They want to be able to get out if they change their mind. And I think if that's a world that we pretty much live in these days, which I think we do, that can still work for the business, or that can still work for both parties. as long as you make it so good that they don't want to leave. And isn't that what everything should sort of be aimed at? You know, like
You'd like to think so.
That's the way I look at that. And so I think it shouldn't be the moment the business or founders get kind of fearful of the alternative to that is the moment that they've probably, you know, lost it or given up anyway, because that just means they're not confident themselves that they can keep people engaged so that they don't want to leave or won't want to leave.
Yeah, it's so true. And I think this is where we'll see a big difference in the Web3 companies that are just being created in the world of NFTs, and also all of our Web2, so our existing companies, because I think we'll see that big divide, because all of the Web3 companies have to embrace that by default, because these projects like the Gents Croquet Club, their whole value and existence depends on the people behind the project delivering and generating value for the holders. And the minute they don't, then the minute the project will start to crumble, their revenues will dry up, and the whole thing will fizzle out. And that's very much the same with a lot of NFT projects. And so they're sort of all in on that model, which is great. This is where I think a lot of the old businesses, so like your traditional membership clubs and indeed just any traditional businesses at the moment, I think will struggle to adopt that, because all of a sudden to shift to that model is a massive move and in truth a risk for a lot of businesses, because whilst absolutely you should always strive to deliver the best possible experience for your customer, that all of a sudden is a lot of pressure when previously they've been able to get by without necessarily doing that and relying on their reputation, their recurring revenue streams and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I think the bit I find interesting, and this will be fascinating to see kind of how this plays out. With a normal sort of subscription business, you know, the business knows what their recurring income is, right? They know what money's coming in month on month on month. Of course, unless people leave, if their service drops, and then they know it's going to drop. But they'll also know what their customer acquisition's like. So they'll know on average if they bring X number of new people in, they've got a solid idea of what their monthly income is. Compare that to another NFT membership club that I am aware of and like the sound of and actually really, really want to buy one, is a restaurant that's part owned by Gary Vee, which is called the Fly Fish Club, which is a restaurant in New York that they launched, I think, a year ago now. And the restaurant hasn't even opened. The restaurant doesn't even open until 2023.
Nice.
But it will be, from what I've heard, a very sort of high-end restaurant, sort of, you know, Michelin star kind of catering, that sort of stuff, in New York. And the only way to eat there is to own a Fly Fish Club NFT. There's two types. There's like the core main one, and then there is a second type which gets you into I can't think what the word is, but it's a sushi type. It gets you into a separate room for even better food, something like that.
Wow.
But if you think about that as a project, they sold. Are you on the page there? Can you see how many tokens were there originally?
So
don't think there were that many.
3,000.
So 3,000 tokens originally.
The current floor is 3.25 ETH.
Yeah. See, I mean, it's definitely. I would have thought that's worth it.
So at the minute, for our viewers, 3.25 ETH. ETH is around 1,250. So that means that roughly it's like a 7,000.
Yeah.
Was that terrible maths? 5,000, 6,000.
They, as I understand it, minted out at 2.5, I think. So this is the thing. People, the original 3,000 people that bought that, well, not that it would have been, some people would have bought multiple tokens. So, but anyway, when those original 3,000 were sold, I think they were sold at, I can't remember, maybe it was Dutch auctions. So some people may have paid higher, I think, but I think the floor got to 2.5. And so they created whatever that is. ETH was a lot more at the time, so let's say that was probably close to $3,000 at the time. So like, I don't know, nearly $10,000 for those original 3,000. So they earned that immediately. Presumably, that is the investment sort of fund that's going to pay for the creation of this restaurant, whatever. They already had the team, which includes the chefs. Kind of that's the, I think there's 3 or 4 people kind of involved in the project, and one of them is absolutely the main sort of chef guy. And the restaurant, hasn't even opened. So there's been trading back and forth. People have been buying and selling of those tokens already, which is interesting because presumably the people that bought them originally bought them because they want to go to the restaurant. Well, the restaurant doesn't even exist yet, so they haven't used them for that at all. They have had some kind of pop-up events, so they've got to meet the team, maybe they've got to try some of their cooking, who knows. They've also had online events like virtual wine tasting and stuff, but anyway, none of them have got to go to the restaurant yet because it hasn't opened. I don't know what the kind of secondary market's been like, but the only additional income now that the people are earning as the restaurateurs will be the royalties from the secondary market. And so how do they decide like what that looks like in the future for them to keep funding this restaurant? Because it's a business that, yes, it got a large chunk of money on day one when they sold out on the NFTs, but actually, as an owner of that NFT, you can now go and eat there, and like, I don't know how they're creating additional revenue, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So what is it? Well, you have to pay for the food when you're there.
I think so, but I don't know. Sort of, surely there must be benefits to. Well, I don't know. I don't know exactly how it's going to work. But if they want to increase their membership, which you would imagine they would want to, unless they're going to just keep it very high end and sort of a small group of people.
Yeah, interesting. So I just have a look on the website here, and so they talk about. So there's no applications or reoccurring fees each year. So once you've got the NFT, that's basically it. Members can obviously lease or resell their membership as they see fit. And in the restaurant, primary payment for food and beverage will be in USD. So inside it will be a traditional restaurant. So I guess they'll have to rely on that as their mainstream.
Yeah.
But it will be interesting because all of a sudden, okay, if you're a restaurant and now there literally is a pool of 3,000 people that can ever come to that restaurant. Presumably if one person owns an NFT, you'd be able to bring your partner or your family.
I think it's up to 3 guests.
Up to 3 guests, all right. Yeah. So that bumps it up to then a total of 9,000 people in the world at any one point can come. So it'll be interesting. They'll probably have to, you'd imagine, make it really easy for people to lease out their NFT.
Yes.
Because if you owned one, let's say, and we obviously live in the UK, but if we bought one, we would like to be able to lease it out to people in the New York area who want to experience it.
Exactly. And I think that you can, well, I don't know how they're going to work that, and I'm not sure they've shared details yet, but I think that is going to be a function that you can do. How you can then get paid for that, I'm not sure, because there's value there. So as a holder, you should be able to earn some money by leasing out your token, I would have thought.
That's fascinating. That is fascinating.
But it's another good example of why did they choose NFTs over any other kind of membership? I think it's very similar to your Gents Croquet Club. The timing was very sort of suitable. There was so much focus.
It was right as when NFTs. Gary Vee's project was leading the way as well, because his V friend, his project was doing amazing at that time.
Exactly.
So anything he was touching, he seemed to have the Midas touch at that point.
Yeah, and I think that one thing he talks about is the transparency of the blockchain and the fact that you can see without any kind of doubt who owns your kind of token. Means that at any time in the future, you can decide to kind of create an additional benefit for them. Now I'm sort of saying that and thinking, but could you do that with a normal membership that isn't NFT based? Well, you could, but I suppose the ownership is the bit that could be questioned. Is it this person or is it this person? Like with a wallet on the blockchain, like there's no argument. That's the whoever owns that. That's who is the member of your sort of community or your membership club, and I think that was a big part of it.
Well, that's just the core problem that it solves, right? And that, as we've discussed, facilitates the ability to do a lot of things which previously, when we rely on traditional mechanisms of usernames and passwords, is just quite difficult because they can be shared around. It's hard to tie a definitive owner to one. And of course, all the other security breaches that we discussed previously as well.
Yeah, so I think it's, it's interesting. I think there's going to be more. I'm sure NFTs, as kind of membership communities, membership clubs will be used more and more. But will be interesting to see if some sort of more of these bigger brands or membership sort of groups do start to use them. I don't know of any yet that have switched from their traditional sort of however they do it now to NFTs instead. That would be an interesting transition to see how they do that, because I'm sure that would face quite a bit of resistance from the existing sort of members, because it's like, well, why does it have to change? What's the benefit? All that sort of stuff will be interesting to see how that's managed. But it's definitely something that NFTs again add a lot of value to, and these sorts of things, these kind of clubs wouldn't be doing it if they didn't, right?
100%. 100%. And so, speaking of NFTs, Matt, and membership clubs, we've got some pretty exciting plans of our own in terms of our little project, the Moonshot DAO, which you'll have heard us talk about on this podcast before, but that is our own NFT private investment club, which we created, many, many months ago now. And actually, we've got some very exciting plans to hopefully in the future use NFTs as the basically membership key to the Moonshot DAO. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, because as much as, so initially we set it up as a typical DAO, if you like. So a way of, a group of people pooling money together to invest in NFTs, which we've done so far. But yeah, the way that we want to take it forward is to create more of a membership group to continue sort of investing in NFT projects, of course, but also to bring members together, and certainly through using NFTs as our sort of primary way in and out if people choose they want to exit at any point, which I think, because we've said all along our aim is we're only investing in NFT projects. We're not buying different currencies, all that sort of stuff. It's an NFT focused investment club, and therefore it seems very fitting that we use NFTs as our membership token, and bring about use the benefits and advantages that can bring to members.
100%, because when we started the Moonshot DAO, what became very evident early on when we were going through our sort of fundraising time, because we created it on a platform that allowed us to create our own token, so almost like our own coin called the Moon token, which when you deposited your money in, you got an equal amount of that token back. So if you put in $100, you got 100 tokens. And those tokens acted as your votes in the DAO and basically your shares. So whenever the proposal is put forward to buy or sell an NFT, you vote using however many Moon tokens you have. And similarly, when it comes to paying out from the DAO, so when we want to realize hopefully some of our gains and want to distribute that back to the holders, you will get basically paid a proportionate amount of the DAO as to how many Moon tokens you have. So if there was 200 Moon tokens, let's say, and you had 100 of them, then you're getting 50% of it. It's like you have 50% ownership. And so whilst that model does work very well, where it did come up short for us was in the fundraising zone, because when we were trying to onboard a lot of non-crypto people, which is the whole sort of point of the Moonshot DAO, we're trying to demystify the world of NFTs for the everyday average investor. And so our audience was, people who this was totally new to. And the actual sign-up process to create a crypto exchange account to buy some USDC, which is the stable coin you had to have, to then create a MetaMask wallet and send it from there, to then go to this website and basically mint this Moon token and then create the Moon token in your wallet. And it was a lot of steps. And for a person this is their first endeavor into the world of crypto, it was just a bit of a clusterfuck, shall I say. And as a result, we actually missed out on some pretty significant chunks of investment, because people either tried and got a bit too frustrated, or they had just certain roadblocks and ended up missing the deadline for them to join. And so as we look to hopefully expand and build upon the Moonshot DAO in the future, we definitely want to look to using NFTs as our main mechanism. And it's for a couple of reasons, really. One, because it's much easier in terms of the onboarding. I mean, they still have to go through the whole exchange process, but actually just minting an NFT is a lot simpler than trying to mint these tokens and do all this stuff.
There's many sites now that you can buy NFTs just with your card.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
Just with a card purchase, like you would a pair of shoes or anything, or you know, online. Like, so it has to be an easier way of getting people involved for sure.
Yeah, which is exactly what we want. But then also it brings into play this whole resale market, because if those NFTs exist, then our members and our holders will be able to use them to verify their membership of the DAO, first and foremost, and it will also act as their vote. And also, when it comes to distributing profits, the mechanism in which we use that. Yeah. But also, then it enables the holders, they're not just buying into the DAO, but their share becomes their thing that they own, and they can now, if they want, sell that. They can do whatever they want, list it on the open market, and also extract value from it that way.
Exactly, and the value will be linked to the treasury value, if you like, won't it? Because we've got our assets that we hold already, some of the NFTs that we've already decided to invest in, which of course all have a value. And so I think it will be very straightforward to link the value of the percentage share of your tokens, or you know, your share of the Moonshot DAO will be linked to the NFT that you have, and therefore the value will be easily set to kind of be able to trade that if and when people choose to.
100%. So that's what we're sort of quietly working on in the background and looking to roll out early next year. And yeah, hopefully have some very cool NFTs.
Yeah, it's exciting for the future. And I think step one of that, which has nothing to do with the NFT yet, we're you know, a little while away from being able to deliver on this. But one thing that we are ready for and would like to invite any listeners to join us in is we do already have our own Discord. We've had our own Discord for several months now. Since we set up the Moonshot DAO, and so within the Moonshot DAO Discord, we have our private holders channels where our existing members can communicate with each other and do regularly talk about you know, the market in general, and also projects that we're looking at, projects that people think are of interest, and so we're communicating in there about future potential purchases, that sort of stuff. But also we have now recently created this open channel where new people who are keen to learn or just start discussions more, perhaps following anything that you've listened to on this podcast, like or stuff that you've read, but don't perhaps have a friendship group that you can go to kind of ask questions about NFTs or you know, this world. So we've got this open community now within the Discord that we'll put a link to in the links, but you know, for this episode
below.
Whereby you can join, introduce yourself if you like, or don't, but just start asking, you know, start communicating about NFTs.
Indeed, you'll get a nice warm welcome, but no, perhaps a useful starting block for anyone who's just looking to explore NFTs a little bit further. By all means, come join our public Discord channel, have a little chat, see what's up, and
it's somewhere that I, you know, will certainly be communicating in there as well, and a lot of our existing holders will as well, and we'll make sure we keep it sort of very layman's terms and sort of, you know, really the basics of NFTs so that it makes sense to a lot of people, and looking for it to become a good place that people can learn, open up discussions, even sort of give us additional topics that we might then cover on this on the podcast, which would be good. So that we can continue, hopefully, to add value to people that you know are thinking about, well, maybe they do consider NFTs as a future area to invest in and benefit from. So that will be that's the opportunity that we'd love to invite you to take part in.
Lovely stuff. Look forward to hopefully seeing some of you there. Well, Matt, seems like a very good place to round off. So
good stuff.
Thank you as always. Been Likewise. A pleasure. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening. Please feel free to like, follow, subscribe, share, whatever you feel like. But of course, have a wonderful day. And remember, to the moon.